The massive circular chamber hummed with anticipation. June Park stood alone, a single human surrounded by representatives from 12 different alien species. Their eyes, some crystalline, some multifaceted, some simply dark pools, bore into him with a mixture of anger, curiosity, and barely contained judgment. The room itself was a marvel of galactic engineering. Holographic projections danced around the circular walls, displaying star charts, military records, and communication logs that documented humanity's controversial actions across multiple star systems. Soft blue and green lights pulsed beneath, transparent floor panels creating an illusion of floating in deep space. June wore a simple dark gray uniform, its minimal decorations telling a story of practical military service rather than ceremonial grandeur. His hands were clasped behind his back, a posture of calm defiance that seemed to irritate some of the alien representatives. A small device at his collar translated his words in real time, ensuring every nuanced statement would be perfectly understood. Bin Kang, the lead diplomatic representative from the Galactic Coalition, stepped forward. His species resembled tall, reed-like creatures with skin that shifted colors based on emotional states. Right now, he was a deep shade of angry crimson. "Commander Park," Bin Kang's translator clicked in word, "you stand accused of multiple, unauthorized interventions across protected galactic territories. Your actions have violated at least 17 interstellar treaties and directly challenged the established diplomatic protocols of the Galactic Council." June remained silent. He knew every movement, every breath was being analyzed. The humans had a reputation: unpredictable, aggressive, but undeniably effective. The chamber's ambient temperature seemed to drop. Holographic screens began displaying documented interventions: a human fleet preventing a systematic genocide in the Orion cluster, technological transfers that saved 3 emerging civilizations from environmental collapse, strategic neutralizations of potential galactic threats. Each projection told a story of intervention that technically broke rules but saved millions of lives. Bin Kang continued, his color shifting between crimson and a pale, almost translucent green, indicating a mix of rage and underlying confusion. "Your species has consistently demonstrated a complete disregard for established galactic protocols. You negotiate through action, not dialogue. You solve problems through intervention, not consensus." A murmur rippled through the assembled representatives. Some nodded in agreement, others looked troubled. June's eyes remained fixed on the lead diplomat. He had prepared for this moment, not with elaborate speeches or complex legal arguments, but with pure, simple truth. The chamber's design was intentional, a perfect circle symbolizing equality, transparency. Yet June knew real equality was rarely about physical design and more about understanding. Humanity had learned this through centuries of its own complex historical struggles. Holographic displays continued rotating, showing military engagements, rescue missions, technological exchanges. Each image was a testimony to humanity's complex approach to galactic interactions. They were not conquerors, they were problem solvers. Bin Kang produced a data crystal, its surface flickering with encoded information. "We have compiled a comprehensive list of your violations. Each intervention represents a direct challenge to our established diplomatic frameworks." The alien's words hung in the air, heavy with accusation. June took a measured step forward. The entire chamber seemed to hold its breath. 12 species, hundreds of years of established galactic diplomacy, and one human standing at the center of a potential paradigm shift. "I'm ready," June said simply, his voice clear and steady. The confrontation had begun, not with weapons or threats, but with a willingness to explain, to be understood. Humanity's greatest strength had always been its ability to adapt, to see solutions where others saw only problems. The holographic displays continued their silent dance, telling stories of interventions, of lives saved, of civilizations protected. Each image was a testament to a different approach to galactic cooperation. June Park stood at the center, waiting. The judgment would come, but first, they would listen. The data crystal projected a complex web of information across the chamber. Holographic lines connected star systems, military engagements, and humanitarian interventions with intricate precision. Siak Lee, humanities scientific advisor, stepped forward with calculated movements. Each intervention, Siak began, his voice calm and measured, represents a calculated response to potential galactic threats. The first projection showed a dying star system. Human ships appeared suddenly, evacuating 3 different alien species before a massive stellar collapse. Traditional galactic protocols would have required months of diplomatic negotiations. Humanity had acted in weeks. Bin Kang's color shifted from deep red to a confused pale green. "You violated 7 interstellar migration agreements," he accused, his translator clicking with each word. June Park remained silent, allowing the data to speak for itself. The next projection revealed a hidden conflict. Deep in the Centauri arm, a systematic elimination of a peaceful civilization was about to occur. Satellite images showed massive weapon platforms preparing to destroy an entire planetary population. Human intelligence had discovered the plot months before any official galactic monitoring systems. "We intercepted communication networks," Siak explained. "The threatened civilization had no defense mechanisms. Traditional diplomatic channels would have resulted in complete extinction. Holographic representations showed detailed tactical interventions. Not conquests, but precise surgical operations that prevented total destruction. Each intervention was mapped with mathematical precision, showing minimal casualties and maximum protection. The alien representatives leaned forward. Some looked confused, others looked intrigued. Humanity's approach was unlike anything they had seen before. Another projection appeared. This time it showed a technological transfer. A struggling civilization received advanced medical technologies that would take them centuries to develop independently. The transfer was subtle, almost invisible, but its impact was profound. "We do not conquer," June spoke for the first time in this segment. "We solve problems." The data crystal continued spinning, revealing layer after layer of complex interventions. Each action challenged traditional understanding of interstellar diplomacy. Humanity had become an unpredictable variable in a previously stable galactic equation. Siak Lee presented computational models, cold, hard numbers that demonstrated the potential outcomes if humanity had not intervened. Millions of lives saved, entire civilizations preserved. Potential galactic conflicts neutralized before they could escalate. The chamber grew quieter. The accusatory atmosphere began to shift. Bin Kang's translator struggled to maintain its emotionless tone. "You consistently operate outside established protocols," he stated, but the accusation now lacked its previous sharp edge. The projections told a story of a species that saw the universe differently. Where others saw boundaries, humans saw opportunities. Where traditional diplomacy saw complex challenges, humanity saw solvable problems. A fascinating detail emerged. Humanity's interventions were not random. They were strategic, carefully calculated, with long-term galactic stability as the primary objective. Each action was a chess move in a game that spanned entire star systems. The data crystal continued its silent testimony. Military engagements that prevented larger conflicts, technological exchanges that elevated struggling civilizations, rescue missions that challenged every established understanding of interstellar interaction. June Park stood like a silent sentinel, allowing the information to speak. No dramatic speeches, no emotional pleas, just pure, calculated information that told a complex story of potential and protection. The alien representatives exchanged glances. Something was changing in the chamber. The initial anger was transforming into something else, a reluctant respect, a grudging acknowledgement that humanity's approach, while unconventional, was undeniably effective. Siak Lee's final projection showed a comprehensive map. Highlighted were all the potential conflict zones that had been neutralized through human intervention. The scale was breathtaking. Entire sectors of the galaxy had been protected without most civilizations even realizing the danger. "We are not conquerors," June repeated softly. We are custodians of potential. The revelations hung in the air, a complex tapestry of data, strategy, and unexpected compassion. Humanity had just demonstrated that their approach to galactic interactions was fundamentally different and possibly superior. The judgment was yet to come. But something had already changed in that moment. The chamber grew silent as Yoon Choi, humanity's strategic analyst, stepped forward. Her presence was understated, but her reputation preceded her. Years of complex diplomatic negotiations had taught her that true communication happened beyond words. A holographic model appeared showing multiple interconnected civilizations. Each connection represented potential conflict, hidden tensions, unresolved historical disputes. The model pulsed with soft blue and red lines, indicating areas of potential destruction and peaceful interaction. Ethical decisions are never simple, Eun began, her voice steady and clear. They are complex calculations of potential outcomes. The first scenario materialized, a small civilization on the edge of a dying star system. Traditional galactic protocols suggested non-intervention. Humanity's analysis showed something different. Without help, 3 million sentient beings would perish. The human intervention was precise, not a full rescue, but a strategic technological transfer that allowed the civilization to develop its own survival mechanisms. They provided tools, not complete solutions, a subtle difference that changed everything. Bin Kang's color shifted again. His species valued strict non-interference, but the data challenged their fundamental beliefs. The computational models showed that human intervention had a 94.3% positive outcome rate across multiple scenarios. We do not decide for others, Yoon explained. We create possibilities. Another projection appeared, a conflict brewing between two neighboring star systems. Traditional diplomatic channels would require decades of negotiations. Humanity's approach was different. They introduced a shared technological platform that made the potential conflict economically unviable. No weapons, no direct intervention, just a strategic solution that transformed potential violence into mutual economic opportunity. The alien representatives leaned closer. The initial anger was transforming into something else, a reluctant curiosity. June Park remained silent, allowing the data to speak. Each projection challenged fundamental understanding of interstellar interaction. Humanity saw the universe not as a collection of separate entities, but as an interconnected system where every action had multiple potential consequences. Yoon's presentation continued. She showed scenarios where non-intervention would have resulted in massive casualties. Civilizations on the brink of self-destruction, saved through subtle technological and diplomatic nudges. We do not play God, she stated. We simply prevent unnecessary destruction. The ethical dilemma was clear. Traditional galactic protocols valued non-interference above all. Humanity valued potential survival and development. These were fundamentally different approaches. The holographic model began showing potential future scenarios. Each intervention was like a stone dropped in a complex pond, creating ripples that transformed entire galactic regions, not through force, but through strategic understanding. Bin Kang's translator struggled to capture the nuance. You consistently challenge our understanding of diplomatic interaction, he stated, his tone now more curious than accusatory. Computational. Models showed fascinating results. Humanity's interventions had prevented more potential conflicts than all other galactic diplomatic efforts combined. Not through military might, but through strategic thinking. The chamber felt different now. The initial tension was transforming. The alien representatives were no longer just judges. They were becoming students trying to understand a fundamentally different approach to galactic interaction. Yoon's final projection was most compelling, a comprehensive map showing how human interventions had created networks of potential cooperation, where previous models showed only potential conflict. We see connections, she said softly, where others see boundaries. The ethical dilemma was no longer about right or wrong. It was about understanding. Humanity had demonstrated that ethical decisions were not about following rigid protocols, but about creating possibilities for survival and growth. June Park's slight smile was almost invisible. They had just transformed the conversation from an accusation to an exploration. The judgment was coming. But something fundamental had already changed in that moment. The universe looked different now, more connected, more possible. The chamber fell into a deep silence as June Park stepped forward, carrying a small data module that seemed unremarkable. His movements were deliberate, each step calculated to draw attention without appearing dramatic. "What I'm about to share will change everything you understand about our interventions," he said quietly. The data module projected a complex network of potential galactic threats. Hidden connections emerged, threats that no single civilization had detected. Massive stellar migrations, dormant technological weapons, ancient conflict networks that could destabilize entire galactic sectors. Bin Kang's color shifted rapidly, indicating extreme confusion and growing concern. The projections revealed layers of potential destruction that traditional monitoring systems had completely missed. One scenario showed a technological weapon system hidden deep within an unexplored star cluster. If activated, it could systematically destroy 17 different civilizations within months. No current galactic defense mechanism could have detected it. Humanity's intervention had been subtle. They didn't destroy the weapon. They redesigned its fundamental communication network, rendering it permanently inoperable without any direct military engagement. "We are not heroes," June explained. "We are problem solvers." Another projection appeared. A complex network of genetic manipulation, technologies that could potentially rewrite entire species' evolutionary paths. The threat was not just about destruction, but about fundamental genetic manipulation that could erase entire civilizations' identities. Humanity had tracked this network for decades. Their intervention involved introducing counter-genetic stabilization, protocols that prevented potential misuse without directly confronting the original developers. The alien representatives leaned forward. The initial accusatory atmosphere had completely transformed. Now they were witnessing something unprecedented, a comprehensive defense that challenged every previous understanding of galactic security. Siak Lee stepped forward, supporting June's presentation. "Our interventions are not about control," he said. "They are about preserving potential." The data module continued spinning, revealing layer after layer of hidden threats. Each projection showed how humanity had created solutions that were invisible, almost magical in their precision. A particularly compelling scenario showed how a potential stellar conflict between two advanced civilizations was neutralized through a complex economic restructuring. No weapons were used. No direct diplomatic negotiations occurred. Humanity simply introduced economic models that made conflict economically impossible. "We see systems," June said, "where others see separate entities." The unexpected defense was not about proving humanity's superiority. It was about demonstrating a fundamentally different approach to understanding complex galactic interactions. Bin Kang's translator struggled to capture the nuance. The lead diplomatic representative was experiencing something unprecedented, a complete reevaluation of everything they understood about interstellar interactions. The projections continued. Each scenario demonstrated how humanity approached challenges not as separate problems, but as interconnected systems that required holistic solutions. A subtle technological transfer here, a complex economic restructuring there, genetic stabilization, protocols introduced without direct confrontation. Each intervention was like a precise surgical operation on the body of galactic civilization. "We do not conquer," June repeated. "We create possibilities." The chamber felt different now. The initial accusatory atmosphere had completely transformed. The alien representatives were no longer judges. They were witnesses to a fundamentally different approach to understanding universal complexity. The final projection was most compelling. A comprehensive map showing how human interventions had created networks of potential cooperation where previous models showed only potential conflict. Silence filled the chamber. The unexpected defense was not about proving innocence. It was about demonstrating a more sophisticated understanding of galactic interactions. June Park stood quietly, allowing the data to speak. No dramatic speeches, no emotional pleas. Just pure, calculated information that told a complex story of potential and protection. Something fundamental had changed in that moment. The universe looked different now. More connected. More possible. The judgment was coming. But humanity had already transformed the conversation. The chamber remained silent for what felt like hours. 12 alien representatives sat motionless, their collective processing systems working through the massive amount of information presented by humanity. Juan Kim, the lead council representative, stood slowly. His movements were deliberate, each gesture carrying centuries of diplomatic weight. "Commander Park," he began, "you have challenged everything we understand about galactic interaction." The holographic displays continued spinning, showing humanity's complex interventions. Each projection told a story of strategic problem-solving that went beyond traditional diplomatic understanding. Bin Kang's color shifted between multiple shades: confusion, respect, and something that almost resembled admiration. The human approach had completely dismantled centuries of established galactic protocols. "We cannot simply forgive," Juan Kim continued, "but we cannot condemn either." A computational model appeared, showing the potential outcomes if humanity had not intervened in various scenarios. Millions of lives saved, entire civilizations preserved, potential galactic conflicts neutralized before they could escalate. June Park remained standing, his posture calm and steady. He understood that this moment was larger than any individual. This was about humanity's approach to universal interaction. The alien representatives began discussing in their complex communication networks. Their conversations happened simultaneously: verbal, telepathic, and computational. To an outside observer, it would have looked like complete chaos, but for them it was a precise exchange of information. Siak Li watched carefully. Humanity had presented its case not through emotional arguments, but through pure, calculated data. Each intervention was a strategic move in a complex galactic chess game. "Your actions," Juan Kim said, "represent a fundamental challenge to our understanding of diplomatic interaction." The judgment was not going to be simple. Humanity had demonstrated an approach that was neither conquest nor passive observation. They were active participants in galactic development, creating possibilities where others saw only boundaries. Another projection appeared. A comprehensive map showing how human interventions had created networks of potential cooperation. The scale was breathtaking. Entire sectors of the galaxy had been protected, developed, and transformed. Bin Kang's translator struggled to capture the nuance. "You operate outside our understanding," he stated, but the accusation now felt more like an observation than a criticism. The chamber felt different. The initial tension had transformed into something else. A collective recognition that humanity represented a new approach to universal interaction. Juan Kim raised a complex device. It would record the official judgment, a document that would be studied for generations. "Commander June Park," he announced, "representing the human civilization, we find your interventions complicated." A murmur ran through the alien representatives. Complicated was not a typical judgment term in their diplomatic language. The projection showed humanity's approach one final time, not as conquerors, not as passive observers, but as active participants in universal development. Each intervention was a carefully calculated move that prevented destruction and created potential. "We cannot approve all your actions," Juan Kim continued, "but we cannot deny their effectiveness." June Park allowed himself a slight smile. This was not complete vindication, but it was recognition, an acknowledgement that humanity's approach was fundamentally different. The computational models continued spinning. Millions of potential scenarios, each showing how human intervention had transformed potential destruction into potential cooperation. Your civilization, Bin Kang said finally, sees the universe differently. It was not a condemnation. It was not complete approval. It was something more complex. A recognition of a fundamentally different approach to universal interaction. The judgment hung in the air. Humanity was not forgiven. Humanity was not condemned. They were something else entirely, a new variable in the complex equation of galactic civilization. June Park stood quietly. The universe looked different now. More connected, more possible. The moment passed, but everything had already changed.